guys and gals, it's Hannah the Omaha Introvert. In this video, I'm sharing my top 10 best punk records. So maybe I don't look like I listen to punk music. Don't judge a book by its cover. It seems like I enjoy punk music the more I get older. I'm trying to figure out exactly why that is. Am I just getting angrier as I age? I know I've always been probably a little too cynical for my own good. These are things to ponder. You'll notice how I have some choice punk records picked out behind me. Also some proto-punk albums. And we can't forget The Who's My Generation. That's truly an early punk anthem. So I just want to start by saying where this list derives. First and foremost, this is a list based on my personal preference. Some of the albums on the list are maybe my early exposure to punk. Therefore, there's nostalgic importance, and I may have listened to them a lot to form a bond with them. So these are albums that I personally love, and they are not necessarily based on any popularity lists, although you will find many of these that certainly are located on other lists of the same nature as well, and that's just because they're so brilliant. So I'm excited to get started. So as with any of my lists or ranking videos, these are subject to change. This list in a month could be modified slightly, in a year, sure. That's just the way it goes. Another thing is I'm focusing on punk from 1977 to the 90s primarily. I'm not really focusing on the origins of punk such as The Who, MC5, New York Dolls, or The Stooges. I love all those bands a great deal, and surely they had an influence on punk, but we're starting with 1977, okay? And lastly, I'm going in reverse order from the norm because I look at my analytics and my audience just has a short attention span. It's not a dig, it's just the facts. I'm the same, so I'm starting with my number one pick. Cool? Cool. I want to just quickly go over like an honorable mention. I have an honorable mention with Green Day's DOOKIE. This was probably the very first punk album I ever heard. And I think it came out when I was like in 4th or 5th grade. So I've had this cassette forever. And it's just, yeah, pop punk greatness from the 90s. I think it came out in 94. But just, that's my intro to punk, so I have to give it a mention. Okay, number one, starting off with The Damned, their 1979 album Machine Gun Etiquette. This is my Australian press on the Chiswick label. Someone told me I was pronouncing this label incorrectly. So I was saying Chiswick before, but they said it's pronounced Chiswick. Hopefully that's correct, and if you steered me wrong, I swear to God, no. But Australian press, and I've had this for a couple years. I found it at a record show, 20 bucks, like amazing. So this may be a strange choice for some, but I don't think it should be. The Damned are my number one favorite punk band of all time, and I feel like this is the first album they came into their own. Captain Sensible is on lead guitar where he should be instead of bass. He's one of my favorite lead guitarists of all time. He's quite comical too, but I understand a lot of people may choose this on their list, and I get it, right? It's deservedly so, because New Rose was like one of the earliest punk singles ever. So yeah, that's definitely reasonable, has merit. I'm just going with this for my number one pick. This is my number one punk album of all time. It starts with Love Song, amazing. It ends with Smash It Up. Everything in between is killer too. So I Just Can't Be Happy Today, Melody Lee, Anti-Pope, Plan 9 Channel 7, all of it, you guys. This is punk gold to me, and this era of theirs. So this album, Black Album and Strawberries, they were just on fire. And I've listened to this album probably the most from The Damned, and I love it to pieces. So that's my number one pick. What do you guys think? Number two is probably an obvious choice, and I imagine it also serves as others' number one pick, or at least in the top three. Sex Pistols with Never Mind the Bullocks, here's the Sex Pistols. Essential punk, period. This one album had such an impact, and it's their only studio album. 38 minutes of raw, snarling, aggressive energy. They couldn't really play their instruments, but for me, John Lydon is an incredible punk frontman, and his vocals and attitude are why I love this album so much. Truly a shocking album for its time. Perhaps the most well-known punk album as well. I don't need to blab on and on because most who already watch my channel know this. Favorite songs are Problems, Anarchy in the UK, God Save the Queen, Pretty Vacant, Bodies. I mean, that's a pretty, whoa. That's heavy right now considering what's going on here in the States. So yeah, Early Press, I believe. I don't know, I haven't looked this one up on Discogs. I've had this for a few years. I think this one might be a little hard to track down now. Even reissues, like you just don't see it in the stores often. But another thing I wanted to mention is Chris and I just finished Pistol, which is on Hulu. And it's a 6-part series about the formation and demise of the Sex Pistols. We really enjoyed it. There are mixed reviews on it, but the bottom line is it's entertainment. And I thought the actor who played Johnny Rotten did a phenomenal job. So I highly recommend that series. Number 2 is this album for me. Yeah. So number 3, I kind of struggle with the order of this list, and my number 3 and number 4 picks could be interchangeable, but I'm gonna go with the Clash's self-titled album for number 3. This is a fantastic record, and I think these are showing a little bit. I've connected more with this album than any other Clash records, and I know that London Calling is probably the preferred choice of many, but this debut is it for me. I really dig the guitar riffs, the bass lines, the hard-hitting lyrics, and really this album has it all. Janie Jones is one of the best album openers, and I'm So Bored with the USA, London's Burning, Career Opportunities, Garage Land, so many awesome songs on this. And this is a reissue, but it sounds great. So The Clash is my number 3 pick, self-titled album, yes. Number 4 is Ramones, but how do I choose between the debut and Rocket to Russia? I love both equally. For the sake of this video, we're going with Rocket to Russia because I feel like this album is a bit more melodic, and I think they added a few more vocal harmonies on this one. Also, it's recorded a little better than some of their other 70s albums. It's maybe the most consistent as a whole. Definitely my favorite of their 70s albums. This is a true punk classic. Here Today, Gone Tomorrow, that's like a more somber tune on here, but Cretin Hop, Rockaway Beach, Teenage Lobotomy, Sheen is a Punk Rocker, all of it. There's a couple covers on there. So excellent. I'll show the label. This is an early US press. Sire. Yes. Can't go wrong with the Ramones. And also I wanted to mention that, and somebody else, a few people asked me what I think of this box set from Record Store Day. This is all of the 80s Ramones albums on Sire. So nice packaging, killer box set, and I wanted to say that the 2 I enjoy the most so far, and I think I have 2 more to listen to from the box, but the 2 I enjoy most are Pleasant Dreams and Too Tough to Die. You guys, their 80s albums are so underrated. So well done. I was amazed. I hadn't heard them all, so just listening to these, it's like, wow, I can see myself listening to these a lot. So if you ever see this box set, go ahead and grab it, or even if you just find their 80s albums in the wild, I highly recommend them. Okay, number 5, we got Wire's Pink Flag right here. And this is a reissue. Oh man, this is a killer record. Very intelligent band. This is not only just punk, but I consider it alternative before alternative was even a classification. It still sounds so fresh today. There's a lot of songs, like 21, but it doesn't lose my attention. They're a band for those with short attention spans, like me. So, yeah, so many good songs. Three Girl Rumba, Mannequin, Feeling Called Love. I love it. You guys need this. And so their first two albums I would consider punk, and then they're kind of known as a post-punk band after that, but I don't know. The lines are kind of blurred on, like, are they punk or post-punk? But I definitely consider this one British punk. So Wire's Pink Flag, that's my number 5 choice. You need it in your life. Okay, number 6. We got the Saints with I'm Stranded. Probably the most underrated punk album. It came out before the Clash and Sex Pistols debut albums. You may have never heard of the Saints, and for some reason they are very overlooked. I hadn't even heard of the Saints until 2 or 3 years ago, and then I became obsessed. So they have this like sludgy, garagey punk sound, crunchy buzzsaw guitars, thundering, unrelenting energy, incredibly raw. So if you hear nothing else, at least hear the title track, I'm Stranded. Erotic Neurotic is also very good. Nights in Venice. Chris Bailey, the singer, just recently passed away, so R.I.P. to him. And this is an early press I scored off of eBay. It's probably a low-end VG copy, but it's on Sire. So thankful to have that, though. That album's pretty hard to find nowadays. Number 7, we got X-Ray SPEX with Germ-Free Adolescents. This is a very alluring and thought-provoking punk album that's very influential to the Riot Grrrl movement, by the way. I dig the saxophone on this record too. Polly Styrene was one of a kind. There's a new documentary out called I'm a Cliché, which I highly recommend. She was just like a true punk pioneer, and she was really young too, I think. So like the whole thing is good. You can tell that like Sleater Kinney were very influenced by X-Ray SPEX and other bands. So yeah, I recommend the heck out of this album. This is a reissue on, or a reissue by Rough Trade, I believe, or not Rough Trade, Real Gone Music, my bad. So yeah, originally came out in 1978. I really got a lemon on this reissue. It just, I don't know, lots of surface noise. But that album's killer. That album was my number 7. So number 8, we got, and I kind of cheated with this one maybe, depending on how you look at it, but Buzzcocks. And this is their singles album called Singles Going Steady, or compilation album, I should say. Yeah, so if you want me to choose a studio album from them, I can definitely choose their first, Another Music in a Different Kitchen, which is right there, and that's very good as well. But, I don't know, this is like one of the best comps of all time. Buzzcocks, the perfect marriage of pop and punk. That's what Buzzcocks brought to the table, or turntable, I should say. So melodic, so full of hooks. I'm a big fan of Pete Shelley's vocal style. Just love them so much. And I probably first heard them from the Ghost World movie, which is one of my favorite movies of all time, but What Do I Get was featured in that movie, so that was probably my first exposure to Buzzcocks. But yeah, I recommend this comp. That's just gonna be my number 8 pick right there. Number 9, I chose X's Wild Gift, which is their second studio album, and I seriously could have chosen any of their first 3 to be in my top 10, to be completely honest, but I'm going for Wild Gift, and I could have gone with Los Angeles, but this is the one I listened to most, and I really connected with X's music when I was in college in the early 2000s. The intertwined vocals between John Doe and X and Cervenka are so unique. Billy Zoom adds some like rockabilly with his guitar style. It's just an awesome sound. I don't know how else to explain it. You have to hear it for yourself. But Ray Manzarek of The Doors, he produced their first 2 or 3 albums, and really you can't go wrong with their first 3 or 4 albums. Personally, I really dig their first 3 the most, but X's Wild Gift, that's my number 9 pick. And look at this is a well-loved copy. I don't even remember where I got this copy, but plays great. Last but not least, my number 10 pick with the GITS and Frenching the Bully. This is one of my gateway bands into punk, especially after seeing their documentary, which came out in 2008 or so. I was very drawn to their sound and Mia's vocal delivery and the lyrics. They were kind of tied to that alternative grunge scene of the 90s, but they were definitely a punk band. Their musicianship is so tight. They were just locked in, you know? They had that band chemistry. Anyway, Mia was just so cool, and she was influenced by a lot of the early blues singers. Like, she was a very soulful vocalist, which is unique for punk. Lots of aggression and passion from this band. I connected with Mia's lyrics too. She was just like a pretty shy person, but she just unleashed on stage. She's very magnetic, and she sung about insecurities, and Second Skin is such an excellent song, which I think also created some buzz about them at the time. It's so tragic what happened to her. That's all I'm gonna say. You need to see the documentary or read about her. I have that on DVD, but I'm sure you can stream it somewhere. And I also have an older YouTube video where I talk a lot about them. But the GITS, this is their first album, Frenching the Bully. And this is probably pretty hard to find now. This is a reissue, I think, from 2007. All their stuff is just gonna be kind of hard to track down now, so love them. So that's it. That's my top 10 list. Sure, I'm missing lots of crucial punk albums because this is only a top 10 list. There's not enough time. By the way, my favorite newish punk band would have to be Amyl and the Sniffers from Australia. And I've got, so their first album, so good. What a debut this is. Highly recommend that. And I also love their latest album, Comfort to Me, from last year. I've just been playing the heck out of this one. Chris got me this for my birthday recently. Otherwise, I just had the CD, but this is the 2 LP special edition. The second disc is a live show. So, amazing band. I don't know. Amy Taylor has that classic punk energy on stage. Pull up some YouTube live clips. Like, they're just incredible. So yeah, I love them so much. Feel free to leave your top 10 list below in the comments. I would love to read what you're into. If you have any new punk bands to introduce me to, do tell. I'm interested. That's all I have for now, you guys. Thank you. Bye.